Uncle G-Rap, when I grew up, I'm going to be a rapper and a gangster, just like you.
No, see, you could be a rapper, but you can't be a gangster. You don't want to be a gangster.
When I was 5 years old, I realized there was a road at the end. I would win lots of pots of gold. Never took a break, never made a mistake. Took time to create, cause there's money to make. To be a billionaire takes hard work for years. Some nights I shed a tears while I said a prayer. Been through hard times, even worked part-time in a key food store, sweeping floors for times. I was sort of a porter, taking the next man's orders, breaking my back with a shack for headquarters. All my manpower, for $4 an hour. Took the time and wrote rhymes in the shower. Shoes are scuffed cause the road gets rough, but I'm a rocket cause my pockets ain't stuffed.
AK 4414, switch to 5.
We'll be in the area, Queen 40.
Roger, I just want to make sure we have the house secured and we'll make an entry.
Right now, this community is in a state of siege, too many guns on the street, and they have to be suppressed.
Put your head down, what are you looking at? Put your head down!
Gangs have taken over, they run it, and they run it through fear.
There are 70,000 gang members in Los Angeles County. Out of that, perhaps about 10,000 are hardcore. Hardcore means that they'll kill you as soon as look at you.
The hardcore gang member, he's a sociopath. He's an individual that you can't do anything with. He has no conscience, nothing except to make money through the sale of narcotics.
They're out there dealing dope, so they're fighting over that. They're fighting over territory. They're fighting over virtually anything. Whose graffiti goes on this wall, whose neighborhood is that. Long-time wars that have been going on over things that people can't even remember anymore.
Most of them that are doing these things are kids that do not feel that they are worth anything.
If you didn't play basketball or football, there's nothing to do but go home and shoot dice and get high or get drunk. But now with cocaine, you have something, a way to make money. And with cocaine, the ugliest person in the world with a second-grade education is the king, as long as he has cocaine.
They drop out of school. We don't do anything to bring them back into school. They go on the streets. They see others making a great deal of money, either in drugs or prostitution or a whole variety of criminal activities, and they say, that's the way to go for me.
They not only become users, they become sellers, and they become distributors, and they now are involved so heavily. It's just a total marriage.
You know, people say crime doesn't pay, but it's worth it in a sense. If you can make, say, $15,000, $16,000 in one day, you just have to be smart about it or use your sense.
A kid is not going to go to junior high school every day and flip hamburgers at Mickey D's when he can stand on a corner and make anywhere from $100 to $300 a day selling rock.
Where do you live, Foot?
80th, put your hands down.
Where?
Go there. I stopped this kid maybe twice a week, every week for 4 weeks. He was in a known narcotic location. I watched him do a deal down the street, and by the time I got there, I could find no narcotics, so needless to say, I couldn't arrest him. But every time during the search, I'd find $600 or $700 on his pocket, every single time.
When they kill someone, they display a really remarkable lack of care or concern about that. Just no big thing. You know, they laugh and joke and what the hell. Life's, you know, the old saying, life's cheap. And life is cheap. I'll tell you, it's very cheap. It's damn near free, you know, in some parts of the city.
I feel like a prisoner on the streets. I mean, I feel like I got to watch my back or beware of somebody trying to take my money or pull a gun on me or something.
People are scared to walk the streets. They're scared to sit on their porch. They can't even enjoy being at home by themselves.
All those people that were killed last year, 387, half of them were innocent bystanders. It's not just gangs shooting each other up, but they're shooting each other up and they're killing an awful lot of innocent bystanders.
In my opinion, you and I can be standing out talking, just talking, and a car is subject to drive by and blow us away.
And out of all the hundreds of people that was there, he was the only one that got shot. And not shot and hurt, but shot and killed.
This isn't West Side Story. This isn't a bunch of kids going around with zip guns. It's a bunch of sociopathic killers who have Uzi machine guns and MAC-10 machine guns.
They don't have the Saturday night specials anymore. I mean, they've got the Rolls Royce of the weapons now, some fully automatic jobs, so forth and so on.
In many cases, in many of these gangs, their involvement in narcotics and the sophisticated way in which they're distributing dope, my view is that we're looking at budding organized crime, no question about it.
They are as effective as any organized gang or mafia, as you want to call it, I would say. I would say they're probably more effective.
We have a war. We are going to be successful. Whatever it takes, we will do it.
The police chief has put 1,000 additional police officers on the street. I'm sure it's made a dent, but even with the police chief riding around in the car, they were still shooting and killing each other out there.
If we can break the narcotic gang connection, if we can really break up the organized aspects of the gangs, disassemble them, make it a one-on-one situation where they're not very organized, I think we can do a great deal in reducing the violence.
There's an incredible lack of real appreciation for the level of violence that these people are capable of.
We've got a lot of anger out there, and we can point the fingers, but we've got kids that have grown up accustomed to this type of life, and now it's just coming to a head.
They can catch you, but they can't stop you. It only slows you down. Just slows you down.
There are signs tonight that we may be headed toward another bloody summer in Los Angeles. Police still are searching for the gunman in last night's shootout in southwest Los Angeles. 2 people were killed and 3 were injured. News 13's Lynn Marvin joins us now from South Los Angeles. Lynn, what's going on?
That's right, Warren. We're standing in the middle of a war zone. This is South Los Angeles, and for the past 2 days, gang warfare has been on the increase. LAPD says that the pattern we're seeing has to do with paybacks. Like this morning's shootout, not far from here, it's estimated that some 50 shots were fired. In that gun battle, 2 people were killed and 3 are hospitalized tonight. Police say the motive was retaliation for a gang murder last week, but tonight they have no leads.
Initially, everybody lies to us, whether they're victims or suspects. The practice is to lie to the police. They much prefer to handle these things in their own way. And we respond to it in an investigative way to try to solve the case as soon as possible and get the suspects in jail. That's one way we try to prevent additional shootings. We also respond by deploying a lot of additional police officers in the neighborhoods where the 2 gangs live to put pressure on them to try to ensure there are not any payback incidents.
Tonight, this is what it looked like on the streets. LAPD does have extra units on patrol because they're expecting things to heat up, and they say they want the gangs to know that they're out there in force.
Everybody step on out where you can see them.
Hands up and get out the house now. No, get out the house. Get us out your head.
Tell your friends we catch them out here tonight, they're going to jail.
Tonight?
Tonight, period. I don't want you out here hanging on the corners. I don't want you hanging in the alley. I don't want you banging, man. You understand what I'm saying?
When the last time Jesus smoked dope? Stand up, stand up. Oh, not you.
The streets of South Central Los Angeles are infested with violent neighborhood gangs.
Lordy, 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 look what come out your pocket.
Drugs are common and life is cheap. No one knows that better than 44-year-old Sergeant John Page, a 17-year veteran of the force. Page is a gang cop, and that means long shifts, up to 15 hours long, and frustration, plenty of frustration.
You just sell cocaine? And you're 15 years old, that's all you do is sell cocaine, right? I'm gonna tell you something. You're out here messing around with the dope, you're out here selling the dope, you're out here fooling around with it. You keep it up down here, pal, I'm gonna put you away. I guarantee I am.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Go back over there with your homeboys.
More than half of the gang members arrested on any given night are back on the street within 24 hours, selling their drugs and shooting it out with rival gangs.
They're into crime. That's their thing. That's why they're gang members. If they had the opportunity and they thought they could get away with it, one of us would be laying here with blood pumping out of us. That's simple. Garage is clear.
Over the years, Page has had several close calls. He's been shot at, his leg has been broken, and someone has even come after him with an axe. But still, he continues.
After a number of years, you start to develop shields and barriers in your mind against these things happening. You just kind of go about your business like it's a normal work day.
John lives in two worlds, one on the city streets and one in this quiet residential neighborhood 40 minutes from South Central Los Angeles. His home is his sanctuary.
Not too bad.
He and his wife Diane have been married for 22 years. They have 3 children. The pressures and dangers of John's job have had an impact.
Our time together becomes the most important part of our lives. Nothing is more important. No activity. Our social life boils down to evenings at home because they just aren't enough of them.
It's basically what you work for. This is it. This is what happiness is all about. True happiness. I'm not talking about, a day at the park or something. This is, but you can come home. This is where it's at.
John Jr. is planning to follow in his father's footsteps. He too wants to be a cop.
My biggest hero, that's my dad. And then goes John Wayne there, down the line.
Lunch with his family is a last chance to relax before leaving the American dream for the urban nightmare.
KCLA, Stereo 93.9 FM, one of my favorite songs.
Like a drive down a dusty highway after the sun's gone down. Chasing shadows into the new day, leaving this lonely town. I'm gonna rock, ride, nothing to hide. Let the headlights guide me. I'm gonna roll right into the night. Take the midnight highway.
Roll call begins another night for Page and the 20 officers under his command. In recounting an incident from the previous night, he keeps things loose.
We had a little foot pursuit. I mean, there was a bump in the dark.
2 particles collide.
Unfortunately, the individual sustained a fractured jaw.
Oh, jeez. Tell me
he will be out of the drug business for a period of time. Yeah.
Mike needs to do it.
3-boy Adam, 316.
Page and his officers patrol an area of 10 square miles with a population of more than 100,000. Many of the residents live in constant fear. This alley is a hotbed of gang shootings and drug deals, a place one doesn't want to be day or night. It's also a place where neighborhood children see too much, too soon, and some never recover. What happens to the people, the kids who watch this going down all the time?
Well, that's probably the saddest part. They're not going to get out of the neighborhood. Very few of them are. They're going to stay here the rest of their lives. By the time these kids are 10 years old, they're going to see a lot more than most kids do.
So what is the future for them?
Some of them will get out. Most of them won't. A good portion will become gang members themselves. Probably die here, overdose on drugs. A lot of ways to die down here that aren't real pretty, and a lot of people do. Yeah, Austin.
Page is one of only 200 LAPD officers assigned to gang detail. With the Los Angeles gang population estimated at 70,000, the cops are clearly outnumbered. Page's night is a series of individual incidents. Typical, a raid on a suspected drug dealer's house, and the stress of not knowing what's around the next corner.
Lights.
Same room right here.
Cover that door there. The first thing that enters your mind when you start going into a situation like that is if the man that you're going after or the person that may be hiding in there is armed. That adrenaline comes up and brings you to a point where your senses remain real keen. Fear is what gives you the edge, basically. It's good tactics, actually, to be a little bit afraid of what you're doing, because it's going to give you the edge. You're going to be a little bit quicker. You're going to think a little bit faster.
This night, the suspect escapes through a back window.
Okay. Oh, well, this one, Biggie. We lost the stash. There's always that chance that something's going to go wrong and you're not going to walk out of there. It's a calculated risk.
We try not to think about him being in what I feel like is a war zone when he's at work. I feel cold when I think about it. I don't like to consider the possibilities.
When John is at work, Diane Page keeps busy at her nursing job or at home. This night, she's altering daughter Jennifer's party dress.
If I don't hear from him, then my mind wanders and my imagination goes, and I get scared.
Do you ever think about what it would be like if John lost his life?
I've thought about it many times, and we've talked about it. And I don't know what the answer to that is, because I can't imagine what it would be like to suddenly not have him.
I'm just worried, you know, is he going to come home safe? Is he going to make it tonight? Because it's really scary down there.
We have hundreds of problems areas, and so all night long you're running from one location to the next trying to prevent this stuff.
Page is returning to the station when he receives a call for assistance from a fellow officer. Rushing to respond, he discovers his siren is not working.
What the hell is my siren at? Oh, you son of a bitch.
He honks his way through intersection after intersection.
Do it now. Let's move. Keep your hands on top of your head.
At the scene, Page learns 2 armed robbery suspects have fled into an apartment building. The pursuing officers are heavily outnumbered. Everyone is brought out and questioned.
Cross your ankles. All of you cross your ankles.
Page finally finds the suspects hiding on the 2nd floor.
Right there. That's him, yeah.
But it's a never-ending battle. Page knows that many of the suspects will be out here again tomorrow night.
I guess it's like finishing a cement walk and having people walk through it just before it sets up. Same feeling, you know. I got to do it all over again tomorrow.
They all do. But despite their efforts, gang murders are up 13% this year. Still, there's satisfaction in fighting back.
When you capture somebody doing something, I mean really something bad, I mean, you catch a murder suspect, or you catch a burglar or a thief, it makes you feel good. It's a rush.
Good morning, you got Bert Brown right here, 107 is the time.
Years ago, I used to sit up and wait for him. I couldn't sleep until the key was in the door. Now I go to bed before he gets home, and I fall asleep when the key hits the door.
You come home, and the first thing you do is you go in and take a shower because it feels so good to get out of that environment. And you look around you, and you're so thankful for what you have.
Last summer, Delonte Carolina, a Northeast Denver high school student, was killed in a drive-by shooting. He was one of 3 boys killed recently during the war between the Crips and the Bloods.
Hands on top of the car! Hands on top of the car!
While the cocaine derivative crack is central to many gang members' economic survival, it's the colors they wear that gang members are willing to fight and die for.
They call themselves Cuz, which is black slang for cousin. You'll see the graffiti with Cuz, C-U-Z-Z, or just C-U-Z. And their favorite phrase is, "What's up, Cuz?" Now that phrase can start a war.
It's this destructive value system concentrated in Northeast Denver that has forced the Denver Police Department to assign these 40 officers to specialize in gang violence. So far, they've identified close to 1,000 gang members. But their efforts are not enough. That's what House Majority Leader Chris Paulson and law enforcement officials have convinced at least one group of lawmakers. His solution, a $2.3 million war on gangs bill.
And the primary thrust of this bill is to get a handle on the gang problem early on in its infancy, if you will, in this state, and to try and interdict the major economic support of gang activity, which is trafficking in drugs and narcotics.
Paulson says his bill will allow Colorado to get a handle on the gang problem before it gets out of hand as it has in California. One Denver police chief says Denver's gang problem is spreading, that chiefs from surrounding counties have seen early signs.
So I think it's incumbent upon us to do something with a bill like this that will allow us to attack it far beyond just a couple of local jurisdictions.
Drug trafficking and gang activity is not limited to the metro area. We've learned through the federal parolee that these gangs are operating through the Colorado Springs and the Denver area. The informants and the people who are arrested and have talked to us have confirmed this. We're starting to make a dent in this operation, but we need help, and the CBI needs help.
Paulson's bill authorizes the Colorado Bureau of Investigations to hire additional agents to track drug trafficking by gangs. The bill also proposes to discourage violence by toughening sentences for the use of an automatic weapon during a crime and gang graffiti. The only part of the bill that stirred up some heated questioning is the provision that would segregate gang members in state prisons to discourage gang recruiting.
Whether it's a gang that the guy belonged to or whether it's an individual troublemaker, that he has the right to segregate either by putting him in with a non-gang member or doing something else. I don't think, in other words, I think that authority already exists with any department, with the Department of Institutions or any sheriff that runs a county jail.
You know, when you talk about gang, we're not talking about the fact that you know, certain ethnic groups polarize and define their turf in a given area. We're talking about people who are involved in criminal activity, trying to bring drugs in, trying to force others to do certain kinds of criminal activities that I think makes and that's where I think the bill is very helpful in saying, if you do that, we're going to take measures above and beyond what we ordinarily would do to segregate this, and the state law backs that up.
The Crips, they want to be better than the Bloods, and the Bloods want to be better than the Crips.
So they
like
fight.
that. So they fight and see who's going to, you know,
who stand up
to yeah, like the tallest.
Over at the Open Door Youth Gang Ministries, headed by the Reverend Leon Kelly, former gang members joined Kelly in turning thumbs down on the bill. They were asked to respond to specific provisions. Number one, gang graffiti would carry a mandatory 1-year jail term for a second offense.
That's part of combating the problem. You shouldn't give them no year or 2 or 3 years in jail because it ain't gonna get cleaned up. All that's gonna happen is that somebody gonna say, "Oh, my homeboy got locked up for spraying on." All right, we gonna sneak around tonight and we gonna spray up everything.
And the police station, you think about it, nobody has really been caught doing writing graffiti anyway.
In the daytime,
people's gonna have to stop underestimating, the fellas. You're not gonna see nobody in the broad daylight go out and just hit up.
It could be the mayor's house. You don't care. You going down there, you gonna symbolize, okay, this is the hood that we want. We gonna write on everything. What we don't care if it's got gold or whatnot. We gonna write everything that our name on it. So what? Who house is it?
Number two, adult and juvenile jails would be authorized to segregate gang members to stop recruiting in prisons.
It's just like putting an alligator over here in this one corner and putting a crocodile right here and just waiting to see who's the best. But yet it's still holding them off from each other. You know what I'm saying?
Number three, sentences would be increased to 5 years if a crime is committed with an automatic weapon.
I see that as adding on to the problem. I see that as adding on because they're only looking at it as one way. Well, if we can lock them down, that's not, and that ain't how it is. That's not reality. If you come to reality, you got to work with something to change it.
Number four, adding an undetermined number of drug enforcement agents to the Colorado Bureau of Investigations. And finally, the allocation of $2.3 million state dollars to fight gang violence.
You put 25 men on the street that, okay, it's there. They getting big fat paychecks, we're driving these big beautiful cars. But you put a Reverend Leon Kelly, and I guarantee you he could do more work than one day than they could do in a whole year. And it won't even cost no $2 million. It won't cost nothing. Okay, 50.
We're not even getting paid now.
Exactly.
For Ed Quay, it is just another school day, another vigilant day with some of California's most troubled students.
We're looking for the tone of the group. Is there a lot of hostility in the faces or a lot of hostility in the conversation as the wards are walking by?
These are watchful times in Ventura School and 10 other state facilities that house some of California's most dangerous young offenders.
Is it that serious?
No, it ain't serious.
But can it be?
Times of overcrowding and stricter security. Times that reflect the harvest of America's streets today.
Kids today are much more gang-oriented than they were, much more apt to resort to violence if for some reason you get between them and what they want to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of people in here that shot people.
You afraid of those people?
Nah, not really.
Why not?
Because it's not nothing to be afraid of. It's happening every day.
And every day, the California Youth Authority inherits some of the survivors from the deadly street game of gangs and drugs. Officials estimate that more than a third of their wards are hardcore gang members. Another third, sympathizers or youths who join for protection. Henry Quiroga learned firsthand the dangers of going it alone.
I was stabbed 12 times, back, past Robles.
While you were in jail?
Yeah, when I was asleep. I just didn't want to play their games.
There you go.
California has tried to fight juvenile crime, including gang violence, with longer sentences. But critics contend that has only jammed the facilities. Here, 2 inmates live in tiny cubicles intended for 1.
These institutions have become powder kegs. It would not take a great deal for riots to erupt in these institutions because there are too many bodies in too small a space.
There are so many rival gangs represented here that separating them is virtually impossible. So authorities have taken other measures in an effort to minimize the chances of violent conflict. They claim the measures are helping, but more and more the reform schools resemble prisons. And at each of them, there is now a gang coordinator like Ed Quay, watching for any sign of trouble.
Do what? Well, you're all upset, though. Something's coming down your way.
A whole bunch of gang stuff. I don't know.
They have even tried to strip the gangs of their identity, their colors, their trademarks, with mixed results.
All right, man, don't fly colors here, okay? What you have here is different gang graffiti. And
even on a baseball glove.
Even on baseball gloves. Get away from gang activity.
In gang awareness classes, officials appeal for change, knowing they will often fail.
3 months ago, somebody in my family, got killed, I don't like talking about it, because I don't even know who done it yet, But I know when I get out there, I'm a seek revenge, I'm a revengeful person.
And out there, also, the same attractions that made many here a statistic, part of an 85% increase in juvenile felony drug arrests in just 5 years.
By the time I was 10, I was using cocaine and anything else I get my hands on.
When did you start dealing?
About 12 or 13.
People getting killed, but that's still not stopping them from selling dope. Because that's an addiction right there. The money talks.
I'd make good $300 a day, which was cool for me. 15 years old, that was good.
Almost every day, some of the wards return home. Chances are about 3 out of 4 eventually will be back. Many reinfected by the twin epidemics of drugs and gangs.
My name is Easy, yeah, this is true. Keeping your attention is what I'm gonna do.
The stuff that we've been through, stuff that we've seen and our buddies been through, we've been through ourselves. It's not an act.
I'm not a role model or a Dr. Seuss, yo, I'm a gangster, and I'm about to get stupid.
People say we're promoting gang violence. We're not promoting gang violence at all. It's like we're just telling it like it is. We're reporters. We're not doing nothing but making records that's real.
The bullet and shotgun attack left 2 dead and 10 injured. Police have not yet confirmed if it was a gang attack, but most residents here believe it was. More and more since Saturday's brutal attack, residents have been coming together, talking, looking for answers.
We can talk till our faces are blue. We got to get out and do some footwork. We got to get out there. Put on your tennis shoes.
Tonight at St. Paul of the Shipwreck Church, these community members were trying to construct a plan of action.
We know what days the dope is being sold. We know who's buying the dope, who's selling the dope. Okay? All we have to do is stand there and say, oh, no, it's not going to happen.
The gangs are not the enemy, parents say. The gangs are their very own children who need help.
I got a 14-year-old daughter whose boyfriends is part of one of these kids you guys are talking about. She thinks that the world revolves on 3rd and Palouse.
And children, we love you. We want to help you. You got to stop this crime. Yes. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting your parents.
The federal government seized nearly 20,000 pounds of cocaine in California last year, up about 1,000% over 1986. But U.S. Attorney Joseph Rusinello says that's only a fraction of the coke that's pouring into the state.
Quite frankly, the primary responsibility for turning the corner on this problem is going to be with the community itself.
When communities get active, Rusinello says, his office is ready to help.
We're going to be able to give back significant amounts of money to law enforcement to pay for overtime.
Rusinello says community organization can bring money from the Drug Act of 1988 to help pay for drug task forces, strengthen security at housing projects, and pay rewards for drug dealers. His office can also use gun laws to prosecute drug dealers and provide witness protection. Rusinello says it should have happened 2 years ago, but it's good people now seem willing to end the crack cocaine traffic. But he says that will must continue. Anna?
Thank you. Don Knapp reporting on a story we talked a little bit about earlier. Father Jim Good, who was the reverend of that church, told us it's going to take more than law enforcement, though. It takes that kind of passion you saw among the community members.
And while all that was going on, Jesse Jackson visited today with a victim of last week's drive-by shooting in San Francisco. Jackson had planned a trip to the city to visit San Francisco General's famous AIDS ward. He did that and prayed with patients there, but he also paid a visit to intensive care and the shooting victim. Cameras were not allowed, but sound recording was as the two talked quietly inside the ICU unit.
How you doing, brother?
All right.
How you feel, man?
All right.
You know you're gonna pull through, don't you?
I hope so.
Well, you will. You will.
The 20-year-old man with whom Jackson visited has since been removed from intensive care and is in fair condition. More than can be said for the situation that led to his wounds, according to Jackson.
You must say without any equivocation that we must stop the reign of terror. That in a civilized society, based upon law and mutual respect, that drugs and thugs and guns and greed must not rule our streets.
This will only be a glimpse, but perhaps a useful insight into part of what turns a young man to participation in street violence. His name is Lemerle Johnson. He's 17. His grandmother and the Omega Boys Club are helping him resist returning to the world that he first entered after his father left home and eventually his mother began to smoke crack. Lemerle hit the streets alone at 13.
Being there, that was a life, so I went to the life.
How different are you from 100 guys on the street?
Exactly like them. That's the life. You know, you have your reality which surrounds you, and then they have their reality. You have to grow up real fast. Because when your mother started, say she's smoking or something like that, you have to buy your food, you have to wash your clothes, you have to do all that. You have to buy your own clothes, you know. And this may happen when you're 13 or 12. In the regular life, getting a job and everything shows you're a man. But out there, beating someone up, if you can shoot somebody, or if you can sell the most drugs, that's your manhood. And you grow up and you think that, you believe that.
It sounds so cold, but I can see it happening.
It sounds cold, but it's realism.
One of the flashpoints of school-related violence in Orleans Parish is the Sarah T. Reed School in East New Orleans. People who live in nearby Village de l'Est say the crime spilling out of the school is threatening their neighborhood.
We've got drive-by shootings, we've had knifings, rapes at the school.
But that's a claim students at Reed High say is unfair. They blame gangs and drug pushers who hang out around the school for the violence.
Reed is not a bad school. They got good boys over there. What about Culver, Kennedy, Graps, Nichols, all the rest of the schools? Why y'all always pitching the negative things about Reed? Reed is not a bad school.
I don't think it's people exactly who go to the school, but people who come around here to pick up people who go to the school or their friends or whatever, they have them come over there. And I think that's a problem.
Police Chief Warren Woodfork refuses to address the issue until he meets with the Village de l'Est Improvement Association Wednesday. However, the chief says these officers form a special unit called PALS, short for Police Assistance Liaison Schools Program. Woodfork says it will improve security in Orleans Parish schools.
A lot of the problems that we have today as it pertains to drug trafficking and the abuse of drugs, unfortunately, a lot of our young people are involved. And I think that if this particular program can go a long way, then we're assuring ourselves that the future generations come out of public schools are going to be the kind of young people that we all can be proud of.
It's been reported to us, at least by the police department, that there is a problem in that area with drugs. You know, whenever there's a problem with drugs, even if it's in the community, it invariably spills over into the school.
The 15-member task force assembling this morning at police headquarters brings together gang and intelligence experts, narcotics officers, homicide detectives, and district attorney prosecutors. Another 30 to 40 police officers standing ready to assist the task force. Its mission to solve last weekend's 2 gang-related retaliatory murders and the wounding of 9 in the Hunters Point Bayview area. Lieutenant Gerald McCarthy saying there are leads, but no firm suspects.
Do you know the individuals involved?
We're not positive on the identifications of the individuals. You know the gang, though, don't you? Yes, we do. We believe the members, people from Sunnydale and possibly the Western Addition, are responsible for it.
The task force says it's depending more than ever on this hotline phone to deliver public tips from witnesses to the murders. one of only 7 such calls coming this afternoon.
This particular person was unwilling to answer any of my questions, but just gave some sketchy information.
We urge anyone that knows anything about this crime to contact us at 553-1600. We can protect them. If necessary, we can get them involved in the witness protection program.
But in the Bayview Hunters Point neighborhood and all housing projects traumatized by gang violence, there is reluctance to speak out of fear. Community leader Shirley Gross says she's urging people to remain silent.
I don't think that people in this community are going to tell on their brothers and sisters and sons and daughters and buddies. No, I don't support that. If you arrest them, that does not mean that it's going to stop.
Mrs. Gross says she's working quietly behind the scenes to promote peace among warring gangs. As anxious as police are to solve the gang-related shootings and break the string of retaliation, they have not yet offered any rewards for public information. But that is a trump card which sources here say may be played very soon. Bob Serkin, News Center 4, San Francisco Police Headquarters.
As Bob's report mentioned, one of the most dangerous gangs in San Francisco is the Sunnydales, but it's not the only one. There are dozens of known gangs operating inside the city, and they are said to defend their territories fiercely, even if it means death. There are about 30 active street gangs in San Francisco, but 4 of them are dominant, police sources say. They run huge business operations dealing in crack cocaine. 2 of the most dangerous are based on the city's southeast side, the Sunnydale and Hunters Point gangs. Sunnydale, also known as Swampy Desert, controls Sunnydale Avenue to Schwerin Street. It has 110 members, and police say it's one of the most aggressive and well-armed gangs. The Hunters Point, or HP gang, borders Oakdale Avenue. With 150 members, they are locked in a shooting war with the Sunnydales. Potrero Hill, also known as the West Side Crips, took over Connecticut and Missouri streets on the southern side of Potrero Hill. They're a small group, notorious for assaults on police officers. A group that calls itself the Out of Control Gang is based in the Western Addition, in the 1,200 blocks of Turk and Eddy streets. This gang has more than 100 members. Last year, members were accused of bullying public housing tenants into selling crack cocaine. Police say many of the small gangs are forming new alliances, and the battle for turf is likely to get worse as the drug profits increase.
Police say Michael Daniels, Jim Cochran, and Rodney Rogers will be charged with armed robbery, armed kidnapping, armed burglary, and numerous weapons violations. They, along with Ernest Dawkins, Keith Vincent, Kentrell Miller, and Gary Merrill, were known as the Florida JACKBOYS, a gang which terrorized its victims.
The weapons used in the home invasions were handguns, sawed-off rifles, some cases semi-automatic firearms.
Were they ever used?
There were several shots fired, yes.
But no one injured?
No.
But there is at least one case where the gang did get violent.
In one case, the victim was shot. She was seated in her car because she wouldn't give up her purse quick enough. The shot went into the car, struck her, and the other victim was injured with flying glass.
With last night's arrests, police now have 7 members of the Florida JACKBOYS gang behind bars. Police are still on the lookout for Tyrone Thomas, who has so far eluded authorities.
On the porch of a South Dallas crack house, a Jamaican drug dealer is gunned down, a bag of cocaine by his head. More than 20 have died this way this year in South Dallas. Since 1984, when Jamaicans first arrived in Dallas until now, the Jamaican Posse has been the most organized, the largest, about 1,000 members, and deadliest Dallas gang.
These people do not respect law enforcement. They don't respect the public. They will not hesitate to take our lives.
They make millions of dollars 2 ways, selling cocaine by the gram or kilo and weapons, hundreds of weapons, guns they ship to both coasts, guns used in murders and drug deals.
You're talking about the crack, cocaine, and you're talking about the guns. Ultimately, they both lead to death, whether it's by drugs or whether it's by bullets.
In Fort Worth, gang members establish their territory by spray paint, not gunfire.
That's their mark. That's what they call it, is their placa. You know, that's their mark.
Sergeant Jesse Hernandez is on the city's gang unit, says there are 100 gangs here, 2,200 members. He calls them mostly Hispanic, social. Says they used to fight over women and neighborhoods more than drugs and profits, but he says now that is changing.
They are, in fact, being motivated by profit. They're dealing dope, they are stealing cars, they're getting involved in some robberies and whatnot.
Santa Ana on a hot night in August.
We hope that Pedro Hernandez goes to heaven for all the good things that he's done.
As they kneel in prayer over a makeshift shrine built in honor of a fallen comrade, one thought is paramount for these gang members: revenge. Pedro Gonzalez lived on Myrtle Street in Santa Ana. He hung out with the West Myrtle gang. He was killed in apparent retaliation for a gang attack in another neighborhood. Now these West Myrtle gang members seek to avenge his death by continuing the cycle of violence.
I'm just telling this to all the crazy people around, you know. I'm just telling this so they could be trucha, you know. Any vato that comes down here, he's gonna be blasted. All right? So that's all I'm telling right now.
Is that gonna help things to shoot somebody else?
Well, that ain't gonna help things, you know. But that's gonna try to get you gotta be trucha with the kids, all right?
That young man goes by the gang moniker Clumsy and prefers to be called that name in public. Crazy, Rascal, Smokey, Speedy, all names these young men have adopted to identify with the West Myrtle Street gang. In our multi-part report, we'll experience a different view of Orange County. This is the crime and punishment cycle that is all too real for people like the Myrtle Street gang. They come from these tenement buildings in South Santa Ana. Here, people spill out to the streets because there's simply not enough room for daily life indoors. Extended families crowd into small apartments. Privacy has vanished. Routine household activity takes place outdoors. And these streets have become the breeding ground for crime in a society where young people grow up knowing more about drugs than jobs. Many young men have rejected traditional values that were important to their parents. Church, school, and family have been replaced by street, turf, and gang.
When you're in a family, you know, you don't have that love you have right here, you know. You're with your brothers right here, you're with the hood, so you're in West Myrtle Street. When you're in West Myrtle Street, you're in something down, you know.
I believe the control came in the past from the importance of the church, the extended family, and with that passing, there's no substitute for it now.
In fact, these gang members say their gang is their family. They get more love from gang members.
Oh, yes. That's why it's called a subculture. It's a subcultural phenomenon. So that becomes a culture. You're absolutely right. That is their culture, and that's their source of satisfaction, their rewards, the importance of life.
Whether they call themselves West Myrtle or Lopers or whatever name feels right, they've grown up into an environment where going to school and getting a job are no longer as important as protecting one another from competing gangs or dealing drugs.
It's always easier in terms of gang problems or problem in your turf area to result to violence. I mean, that's the pattern. And when you have the economic interest that the drugs have on top of that, you create this violence, this escalation of violence, and a lot of innocent third parties get hurt by this.
Listening to cops on the beat confirms that innocent people in gang neighborhoods feel threatened, frightened to the point they won't cooperate with the police to tackle gang crime.
They are afraid of retaliation. They're afraid that if they're found out, they will be the next target of some type of burglary or violent crime against them or their family. So they're reluctant, yet sometimes they feel compelled they've got to call because they can't take it either. They can't stand it anymore.
Well, they're going to be a victim sooner or later anyway.
It seems that way. It's unfortunate.
How many calls a week do you get from out here?
Oh, gee. Every day we're out here at least 3 or 4 or 5 times a night. Every day.
Drug trafficking?
Yeah, primarily narcotic calls we come out here for.
Right on the street?
Yep, hand-to-hand transactions.
It's easy to label these youth as criminals, the perpetrators of illegal activities, but criminologists seriously debate that they're really victims themselves. Victims perhaps because their role models, their fathers, their brothers, their cousins, or uncles turned to crime for lack of opportunity. Victims perhaps because society has simply become saturated with young men seeking opportunity and has decided not to invest in their future. In either event, they appear bound for a brush with the law and likely to end up in an overburdened criminal justice system which is unable to provide opportunity for them either. We'll explore just how overburdened that criminal justice system has become in our next report.
It was early October in Dallas when a Hispanic gang member, the victim of a gang shooting, was buried. Now there will be 2 more funerals for 2 more dead gang members. 2 members of the East Side Locals killed in a high-speed chase from Garland police last night. They had just ripped off close to 50 guns from a pawn shop.
Weapons are the most commonly stolen things. It could be anything.
Okay. But you would not rule out gang activity as a possibility?
I could not do that, no, sir.
Police cannot confirm gang involvement, but sources close to the gang do. They say guns have become a symbol of strength associated with the East Side Locals and others. Some gangs sell drugs, some sell stolen guns. 2 more deaths, another major crime committed by gang members. More concern among those who worry that gangs are getting out of control.
We know it can destroy a whole community. Forget about saving the whales, let's save the Mexican-American kids.
We're expecting somebody to die, but we didn't think it was going to be him.
God didn't give us the life so somebody else could take it away from us, or for us to take somebody else's life.
Let's go. Come on.
Sorrow and fear in East Dallas today. Hundreds of teenagers saying goodbye to one of their own. A gang leader, just 17, killed in a battle to be the best on the block. In the background, police making sure the turf war doesn't get worse. Others don't die.
We want to be on top of the situation we want to be proactive instead of reactive toward it and try to nip this in the bud before it does escalate.
Police say the gang scrawlings tell it all. Signatures of at least 35 Dallas gangs with hundreds of members, with young leaders like Danny and Ninja who watched their friend die this weekend and won out.
I thought I had nothing to live for, but now I realize I do. Taking somebody's life, that's real serious.
So where are you going to go from here?
I'm going to change everything around, go to church and everything.
I don't want to see little kids grow up like us, because I really want to change my life living this way.
Thrust in the center of trying to solve the Dallas gang problem, Cookie Rodriguez, a minister of God, a spiritual mother to many of these children.
We know it can destroy a whole community. Forget about saving the whales, let's save the Mexican-American kids. They're getting extinct.
Police do not know what to make of this killing, whether it was an isolated incident, whether it is an indication of a buildup of gang violence or gang membership in the Metroplex. They do know from now on they will be keeping a closer eye on gang activity in Dallas.
Graffiti scars the crumbling walls and cracked pavement around this old abandoned meat packing plant. To the unfamiliar passerby, the markings mean nothing. But police say the circled stars and other symbols represent potential trouble.
If you see the traditional gang graffiti, we see some graffiti with involving satanic or cult slogans. Probably most of that is going to be attributed to dabblers.
Police define dabblers as teenagers who've read a little bit about the occult, who want to rebel a bit and make a statement, but probably haven't embraced the cult's philosophies. Graffiti like this isn't dangerous, but there are other cult signs scattered about these buildings. Police weren't all that concerned, even though they'd found a Bible in these ashes and a doll that had been burned in effigy. Until earlier this month, when they found a cat that had been hanged near a makeshift altar in some sort of ritualistic ceremony.
Evidently, it has progressed. If they reach the point where they're shedding blood as part of their activity, part of their rituals, if you want to call them that, then certainly we must be concerned and try to get them some kind of help.
Parents have started calling police to complain about cult recruiters, and investigators admit cults are growing in popularity. But they don't think the problem is serious. Police say if true occultists were entrenched in Fort Worth and had been conducting sacrificial ceremonies here, they would never leave behind this much evidence. Linda Frederick, Channel 5 News in North Fort Worth.
The U.S. Attorney, the FBI, and the DEA today displayed a variety of sophisticated arms along with books on killing and dismemberment. Authorities say they've smashed a drug and murder ring within the BONNANO crime family, responsible for at least 7 deaths over the last 2.5 years.
The nature of the operation was somewhat unique in that this organization depended more on ripping off other drug dealers and on occasion murdering them, and on occasion murdering their own Confederates.
The big fish caught today was Thomas Tommy Karate Patera, a reputed soldier in the BONNANO family called Karate for his alleged penchant for chopping up his victims. Yet authorities say the dismemberment was merely for convenience.
The main reason, presumably, was to dismember the bodies, put them in suitcases or plastic bags so they can transport them easier and bury them easier.
Federal agents say the bodies of 3 victims were found on Staten Island on property near the William T. Davis Bird Sanctuary, where agents believe at least 3 more bodies are buried. Agents made their busts at 2 Brooklyn locations, where not only guns and books, but also saws for dismemberment were found, according to prosecutors. The U.S. Attorney says the arrest of Tommy Karate Patera also solves the 88 killing of Wilfred Willie Boy Johnson, a former associate of John Gotti, who testified against Gotti in '86. Prosecutors say it was Tommy Karate Patera who killed him.
Mr. Patera believed he was doing a favor for John Gotti with the extermination of Willie Boy Johnson, who, according to some published reports, had been an informant for the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Patera, who allegedly supervised street sales of heroin, cocaine, and marijuana for the BONNANO family over the last 4.5 years, was arraigned with the 32 others arrested on the indictment.
Probably 100 kilos a year in cocaine, and multi-kilos in heroin, and of course hundreds of pounds of marijuana.
For 3 hours now, the defendants have been awaiting arraignment, but 33 defendants means 33 lawyers and 33 bail applications, so it may be many hours before this is over. As for that Staten Island location where officials believe 3 more bodies are buried, digging is expected to begin there within the next few days.